One of the most interesting developments of the Second World War was undoubtedly the infrared device. By moving the battle into the night, it was hoped that the material inferiority of the German army could be made up for. The word infra comes from Latin and means under. Infrared radiation is radiation whose energy content is below that of the radiation seen by the eye as red. The infrared light emitted by the infrared spotlight, which is invisible to the human eye, is reflected by the surroundings to varying degrees and is collected by a converter, which converts the reflected light into a visible image. Strongly reflective surfaces appear white, non-reflective surfaces dark. This means that the opponent can be spotted and fought even in the dark. In 1934, Germany introduced an infrared image converter that could convert an infrared image directly into a visible image on a fluorescent screen. It worked relatively well and is now referred to as the Generation Zero image converter. It was based on an image converter tube that was further developed by Manfred von Ardenne in the Laboratory for Electron Physics in Berlin. In 1936, the German Army Weapons Office began developing infrared night vision devices. In 1939, the target device 1221, the first prototype of a military IR night vision device, was presented to the German Army High Command. The system included a 36-centimeter infrared spotlight, and the markings visible on the target device indicate that it was factory adjusted to a firing distance of 250 meters. In the fall of 1942, several hundred target devices were delivered to the Army for troop tests. They were attached to a Marder II Tank Destroyer. Marder was the name for a series of World War II German tank destroyers. They mounted either the modified ex-Soviet 76mm divisional field gun, or a German 75mm anti-tank gun in an open-topped fighting compartment on top of the chassis of the Czechoslovakian Panzer 38 tank. They offered little protection to the crew, but added significant firepower compared to contemporary German tanks. They were in production from 1942 to 1944, and served on all fronts until the end of the war. The target device 1221, this modern, groundbreaking infrared close combat equipment, worked well in principle, but it was still quite susceptible to failure due to the adverse operating conditions like vibrations, humidity, heat, and cold. Due to these problems, the IR combat equipment had many opponents in conservative circles of the German army. The target device could not meet the army's requirements. Therefore, the development received no further support from the army, and the target device 1221 was never used in combat. The development of IR devices was therefore stopped and only resumed in late 1943, when the Allies had gained air superiority. From then on, a lot of energy was invested in the project. In 1943, the first Panthers were equipped with a new device, the driving and aiming device 1250, for troop tests. Considerable numbers of these infrared devices were produced from July 1944 onwards. The use of this infrared targeting device for night combat was theoretically possible from the end of 1944. Minor alterations were made to the Panther G to accommodate this solution. A battery stand and electric generator were mounted in the right rear of the crew compartment by removing the 3-round ammunition bin stowed there. Also, the right rear external stowage bin was replaced with an armored bin for the FG-1250 auxiliary equipment. However, its disadvantage was that only the commander had night vision goggles and the gunner and driver remained in the dark and had to be instructed by the commander. A far greater disadvantage was that the FG-1250's IR spotlight only had a range of 600 meters. As a result, the Panther lost its superior range advantage, knocking out a Soviet T-34 tank frontally at 800 meters and sideways at 2,800 meters. This led to the development of an additional vehicle based on the famous German APC, the Special Purpose Vehicle 251. Introduced in late 1944, it mounted a 60-centimeter infrared searchlight with a range of 1.5 kilometers for illuminating targets at night. These vehicles were known as the Eagle Owl, and they guided IR sight-equipped Panther tanks to targets that were out of range of their own smaller infrared searchlights. In November 1944, The Panzer Division was relocated to the Fallingbostel military training area in Bergen in order to test the still top-secret infrared image converter night vision devices. At the end of November, the equipment was complete and a demonstration took place in front of the General Heinz Guderian. This exercise did not go well. The snowflakes were reflected by the infrared light from the image converter devices and they did not work properly. An order came to relocate the German unit to Hungary, but without the night vision devices. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and to make sure you don't miss my future work, please make sure you are subscribed to my channel and press the bell notification button. Thank you and see you in the next video.